What up, Dodgers Nation? Doug McCain here. How's that quarantine life treating you? Hope everyone's doing well. I know it could make it a lot better. That would be some Dodgers baseball, and it could be coming sooner than we all thought. Now, we've been hearing rumors for weeks now. We've heard a June 1st start date. We've heard a July 4th start date. We've heard that the entire season could be scraped completely and sports in America would cease to exist. But we've got some potentially great news to report. According to Jeff Passan, Major League Baseball won't start in July. It won't start in June. According to Jeff Passan,
it's gonna be May.
Now, yes, this isn't even close to being official, and a lot would have to happen in the next month or so for this to even be a possibility. But the fact is, Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association have been discussing it in great detail, and it is backed by federal officials. Look, this will not happen unless public health officials sign off on it, so you can guarantee that Major League Baseball won't move forward with this plan until they get the go-ahead and until they know that them playing baseball won't put lives at risk due to coronavirus. Now, we're going to break down what the 2020 Major League Baseball season could look like. But first, here's ESPN's Jeff Passan on Major League Baseball starting as early as May.
They recognize at Major League Baseball and among the player population that if this plan doesn't work, the likelihood of baseball coming back in 2020 is far less. And so what they're doing is laying things out right now to essentially put themselves inside of a biosphere in the Phoenix area, which would keep them away from the public and ensure that any health problems do not spread there. And hopefully once they're inside of it, provide the sanctity of it so that nobody inside gets hurt either.
Now, based on that, it feels like there's two options right now. There's option A, you send all 30 Major League teams to Arizona, you utilize those 10 spring training stadiums plus Chase Field where the Diamondbacks play, you play in front of no fans, or there's option B, no baseball at all. To me, I'm taking option A, and look, it's going to take a lot to get this done. It's going to take sacrifices by the players. It's going to take a lot of planning to make this happen, but I think the players understand the importance of bringing Major League Baseball to the fans. They understand that, hey, if they don't play, they won't pay, and they want to get their money. They want to get as many games in as they can, and I think they understand that at this point. Here's Jeff Passan talking about the players buying into this whole Arizona biosphere.
This is just the beginning, and for the last few weeks, Major League Baseball and top officials there have been talking with officials at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the National Institute of Health. This is not some sort of like willy-nilly plan that they're throwing out there. This is something that the scientists are saying, yes, in theory, something like this could work. And because they have the backing of some in the medical community at this point, it's really emboldened baseball to start taking steps forward and looking at those logistics and trying to sell to the players who also have talked with health officials the idea that this is something that would work. But you're right, this could blow up really quickly if the players decide they do not want to isolate from their families for months potentially at a time. I had this exact conversation. There's some players around the league who I sort of use as litmus tests for theories. And something like this had been percolating around. And so I asked a player a couple days ago, hey, if you have to go into a bubble city and you are separated from your family for an indeterminate amount of time, and this is a player who has a wife and kids, is that something that's going to work for you? And his initial response was, no effing way. Yesterday afternoon, I get a text from the same player. It says, talked with my wife, and she said, if the only way that I get paid this year is by having to go into the bubble, here I come, bubble.
So, of course, last night after they released this report, I was giddy. I was getting hyped. I was like, hey, boys, pack your bags. You're headed to Arizona. And then today, Major League Baseball, they released this statement. Major League Baseball has been actively considering numerous contingency plans that would allow play to commence once the public health situation has improved to the point that it is safe to do so. While we have discussed the idea of staging games at one location as one potential option, we have not settled on that option or developed a detailed plan. While we continue to interact regularly with governmental and public health officials, we have not sought or or received approval of any plan from federal, state, and local officials or the Players Association. The health and safety of our employees, players, fans, and the public at large are paramount, and we are not ready at this time to endorse any particular format for staging games in light of the rapidly changing public health situation caused by the coronavirus. And look, I get it. The logistics here are very complicated. You're trying to isolate 30 Major League Baseball teams, all the staffs that work these games, the staffs at the hotels. It is a logistical nightmare, but where there's a will, there's a way, and to me, you have to focus on the greater good that this could do for society. Ken Rosenthal reported that federal officials are saying that testing will be readily available when the season would resume. So to me, as long as Major League Baseball isn't taking away tests from people that need it, I think you move forward with this plan. Now let's take a look at some of the details of how the games would be played. First, they're going to be implementing an electronic strike zone to allow the plate umpire to maintain sufficient distance from the catcher and batter. So that means Robo-umps are finally going to be a reality. And yes, we're going to still have that plate umpire, but we're going to get to see what a Robo-ump looks like at the major league level. And I think everyone wants to see that. I think you're going to get better calls. I think it's going to make games more efficient. And then no mound visits from the catcher or the pitching coach. That's going to cut down time. Then 7-inning doubleheaders. Now, if they get this started off in May with those 7-inning doubleheaders, we could get close to 162 games this year. And this is definitely my favorite detail: regular use of on-field microphones by players as an added bonus for TV viewers. So we saw how entertaining that was in spring training. Now we're going to get it every single game. And hey, I just hope players aren't dropping F-bombs, but it's going to be interesting to hear them on the field, hear what they're saying, the strategy, hear them maybe trash talking a little bit. Now look, I understand the concerns, and if you can't execute this safely, it's a non-starter for me. But if you can, you have to look at the greater good that this could do for society. They call basketball basketball, football football, but they call baseball America's pastime, and I think it would be fitting to have baseball be the first major sport to resume play. Look, this self-isolating, this quarantine is driving people crazy, and the weather's going to start to get really nice. People are going to want to leave their homes, and baseball can keep them there. Look, I'll have baseball for breakfast, baseball for lunch, baseball for dinner. Imagine waking up and having baseball on all day long. It could help people stay home and help them self-isolate, which in turn could help mitigate the spread of coronavirus. Look, Major League Baseball, they could use their platform. All the superstars around the league, the Cody Bellingers, the Aaron Judges of the world, they can use their platform to help encourage social distancing and staying at home and washing your hands and doing all the right things that we need to do to ultimately beat this virus. And I think it's important to remember that, hey, hopefully this will be a one-season thing. Hopefully we'll never have to deal with this again. So players knowing that will buy into this, and they'll say, hey, yes, it's 4.5 months. Yes, I might have to live in this biosphere and not see my family. But one, I'm playing the game I love. And two, I'm making a lot of money doing it. And then three, they can look back one day and say, hey, we helped America get through one of the darkest times in our country's history. And I think fans will have a new appreciation for their favorite players, for their favorite teams, because we're never going to forget this. We're never going to forget the sacrifice of going to play baseball under these conditions. So I think it would be great for the country. I think it would be great for Major League Baseball. But let me know what you guys have to say. Let me know down in the comments, will baseball be back by May? Is it a feasible plan? Is it a viable option? When will we see Major League Baseball? Let me know down in the comments. And for all the greatest Dodgers content in the game, head over to DodgersNation.com.